Greetings.
Hi.
Okay, so this is the Fairfield, Connecticut Solid Waste and Recycling Commission meeting of Monday, April 8th. And I guess we'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd like to go around the room and have everyone introduce themselves. I'm Tim Besler, I'm the chair.
I'm Ron Blumenfeld.
Ellie Pataki.
Misty Byer, co-chair. Josephine Keel, Gordon secretary.
Mike Pasowitz.
And we have a guest.
John Bizarro, United Home Sanitation.
John, how are you doing? Okay, first order of business is approval of the March 11th meeting minutes. I think you all have had a copy of this. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve, whatever.
I'll second.
Second,
I'll do second, okay.
any comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. The next item, the first item of business is the revised solid waste and recycling regulations, including proposed transfer station fee increases. I'll start by saying our commission was asked to update the regulations, which have not been revised since 2016. So over the past week or so, with the help of John Cattell and Lisa Gannat, I have reviewed and revised the existing regs and sent a copy of the draft to each of you. The major changes here were some of the definitions had to be updated. For instance, CRRA no longer exists. The Connecticut DEP is now the Connecticut DEP. And RESCO is now, it's Wind Waste Innovations, which formerly was Wheelabrator, which is now part of that company. There was not a good definition of single stream recycle, and what was allowed in single stream in 2016 is different now. So we made some of those changes. And some of the paragraphs have been eliminated. I did a little cleanup as I could. But the substantial change was an update to the transfer station fees in Chapter 4. And the major fee changes were proposed in the last couple of months as when the department met with in a budget meeting, met with the Fairfield Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance. And these fees were discussed at the last meeting, but a vote was deferred because the Zoom didn't work, and we had a quorum, but we decided to wait till more people could be a part of this. And before I go any further, and since John is here, John had sent a report. He had sent out the monthly tonnage report, and I believe everyone got that. But John, if you want to say something as the department director, please go ahead. I hope. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, I'm supposed to be unmuted. John. Well, you read it. Okay, I'm not sure if he's available or not, but at any rate, so I plan to make a motion to approve the revised regulations, including the fees, which the new fees that we had sent around, talked about at the last meeting. And if there's a second, then we'll have a discussion followed by a vote of the commission members. So I'm gonna.
If there's a second, does that mean that I would assume that even if there is a second, there'd be a chance to revise things that some of us found.
The procedure is once it's seconded, then we have a discussion. And yes, we can talk about any changes we want prior to a vote. And if there are changes that need to be made, then we'll redo a motion and do it accordingly. Without a second, there's no point in going any further. So do I hear a second?
A second.
Misty second.
Who made the motion? I'm sorry.
I made the motion.
Oh, then as chairman.
I asked the lawyer about that. The chairman is allowed to make a motion. My vote is the same as the rest of you, but apparently that is okay. I was hoping to share some of the information I already sent out with the iPad, but I apparently can't do it. This came about, the tip fees proposed increases came about because the tip fees that Fairfield is charged by Wheelabrator, or what is their name?
Wind something?
Wind Waste Innovations. Wind, WIN in capitals,
WYN.
WIN.
Win.
Right,
And
opposite of lose.
I guess, they're gonna be increased, well, they are gonna be increased July 1st. That's part of their new contract, by 22%, which results in approximately $500,000 in increased expenses to the town. These tip fees will then increase at least 4% a year for the following 4 years. Now, as we got into this, tip fees for haulers and residents, bringing MSW to the transfer station have not changed since 2015 and 2014 respectively. And so we talked about what would make sense to increase these fees to help overcome this $500,000 shortfall. And if they're not implemented, then Fairfield will simply pay the increased tip fees, and it'll be absorbed by the department, and of course will be reflected in higher taxes. And these fees are not intended to completely cover the expenses of the department. Right now, the expected revenues with the new tip fees would be about $3.8 million, and the budget for the department in fiscal year 2025 is about $5.2 million, and that information is all available. And the other thing that I understand is that if this is approved at the meeting, we will have to have a public hearing, which I've tentatively set up for Thursday, April 18th, at 4 p.m. I will plan to attend, and John is going to attend. I talked to him first. None of you need to attend, but for anyone in the public that wants to come in, that's their opportunity before it goes to the RTM to become official. And again, this would become official July 1st. So I'm going to stop there and let anyone else say what they'd like to say.
Well, I read all 28 pages of the bylaws, the draft bylaws, and I've got some technical stuff in terms of, paragraph headings and so on and so forth, punctuation, little silly things, but some substantive things as well. And I don't know whether I should take up the time to go down and say what I found, because it's going to take more than a couple of minutes.
Well, that's what we're here for. I mean, the game doesn't start till 9:30, so I'm not too concerned.
9:40.
So, yeah, please do. Matter of fact, I have this in my iPad. I'm going to pull that up so I can follow along on this. Again, I was hoping to be able to put it up there, and I think I know how to do it next time. But so we're looking at the color coded. Yeah, okay.
Well, maybe because it's a draft that we got, that this showed up or is going to show up in the final version, but the chapters and the paragraph headings, I think, should be in bold, because they're easy to not see.
Well,
Because what I was working with,
I thought I had them in bold, but
well, and I have a different font also, so somehow when I opened it and came across It was not an area.
Oh, because I sent the first one out as a PDF, but the second one with the color coding, I sent out as a Word. So maybe when you open it up, it might have.
Whatever, okay, fine, well, okay, happy about that, that's great. There was in the definition section, there's definition for collector, but in the same paragraph is the definition for commission. And I don't know whether in your version it's set apart, like in its own line, or whether it's just blended in. Because obviously it was meant to be separate.
Perfect. You know, and this is the sort of thing that, yeah, and you're absolutely right, I didn't.
But at least with
I-
Frankenstein, when you give me a text to look at.
Hey,
Sorry about
This
that.
is exactly why I sent it out, because more eyes that see it, but no, the commission is supposed to be, that should have been a new paragraph
Yeah.
starting, absolutely. Thank you. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I thought commission was missing, now I see.
There it is.
You have it.
Thank you. And I believe that if, as we go through this, and I'm taking notes and we'll get this right, I think some of these things, we will make sure we get that. Good.
And then under the definition of CRV motor vehicle, now, I'm not very fond of acronyms, and I know CRV just seems to be built into the solid waste and recycling lexicon as a thing, but I don't know what it stands for exactly. Commercial.
Do you know what, I wondered about that too. I don't know what CRV. Well, that's a Honda CRV.
That doesn't count, and there's a hyphen in there somewhere too.
And only Honda CRVs are allowed to come to the transfer station.
That's right here. So you're in, but we're out.
Not been found anywhere?
You know what?
It is, isn't it? CRV motor vehicle.
What does CRV stand for? Is that, and maybe I shouldn't even bother about it, but it just,
Town of commercial permit.
Commercial permit.
Okay, it says it here, CRV
CRV, it's right up here,
means
town.
motorized vehicle that has one of the.
No,
Oh, you.
but what does
CRV
Ah.
literally stand for.
It's right there.
Commercial permit. Town commercial permit.
Remember, that was the one where it was a
So
little
it's-
different?
Yeah,
It says
Well,
here,
but there is a definition of CRV motor vehicle.
so let's.
And it says what that means, but what does CRV mean?
Oh, you mean town, where it says town commercial permit?
No, I mean, in the first section, general.
Residential vehicle?
Here, I'm gonna
Commercial
do
residential vehicle?
It says it.
CRV.
No, that's just it.
It just coming from,
These
you're
are,
looking at something different than I
yeah,
am.
but these, I'm just telling you, it's in here.
Just seems to me that if we've got a text, we ought to know what,
It says
These things-
town of Fairfield permit.
Just tell you, I just Googled it. It's computerized vehicle registration.
Thank you.
Why is this?
Google saves the.
oh, but then it should be CVR.
Yeah, I don't, see, look, this
No,
says
No, that's,
Oh, no, see,
It's- it's
yeah,
on-
see,
4.2.1 on the solid waste percent, and they're under the regulations.
Well, it says it's not a PRV, so PRV must mean something.
Yeah, PRV is.
Hello, this is John, I finally able to get in. If you look at CRV, the definition of CRV vehicle means a motorized vehicle that has one of the following state issued class plates. Commercial combination farm, commercial trailer, camp trailer, van pool, camper, temporary dealerships, or other classes not listed under PRV, which is private registered vehicle, neither a garbage, rubbish vehicle nor recycling. So it's in the definition, CRV.
CRV, that is commercial registered vehicle?
Commercial, yes, basically it's commercial registered vehicle, but it can be one of those other commercially used types.
I submit that at least once, we should say what this acronym stands for.
And that's
It's in
why,
the definitions.
Yeah, it's right here. That's what I was trying to tell you. Oh, okay.
okay, I'm running it down, and I think, yes, you're right, before this is finalized, this will, we'll make sure. At some point, CRV is defined as commercial registered vehicle, and PRV is private registered vehicle.
Fine,
Okay,
good,
good.
And OTP is out of town permit.
right. that is defined
That is defined.
within the definition.
Yeah, that is defined, but to your, a very good point, because I wondered what that was.
It's like to know what things mean, that's all.
Exactly, okay, well, now we know, good.
Okay, now, in the same CRV definition, it says, I'm really sorry, but I'm like a nitpicker about it. It says neither a garbage and rubbish vehicle nor a recycling vehicle is a CRV motor vehicle. Now, I get that, but what about, I'm in the same.
Oh, okay.
CRV motor vehicle. I put it in red so I would talk good. Now, why do we say that, and what about the vice versa part? A CRV,
The garbage trucks are under the definition of garbage and rubbish vehicles.
I don't have an objection to saying it fine. So the intent there is not to have a garbage truck be a CRV motor vehicle.
Correct, it has its own identification.
Okay. I'll just leave it.
Okay.
It's fine. Okay, now we get to the acceptable solid waste, which is defined right up front. But then, as we go down, we get a definition for garbage, which means putrescible acceptable solid waste. The animal and vegetables, no, it's like food, basically, food scraps. Then we get, way further down, we get to a definition for rubbish, which is non-putrescible acceptable solid waste. Now, most people think garbage and rubbish are synonyms.
They're not.
Maybe we don't.
In England, they're not.
They go in the same.
Now,
Interesting.
so so what I'm saying is, if garbage is essentially food scraps, why don't we just call it food scraps instead of garbage?
So garbage is rubbish plus food scraps. So food scraps are
Correct.
only food scraps, so no contaminants.
Another, all we have to do is, well, that's right. I mean, basically, if you go to the definition of rubbish, it's non-food
So the,
acceptable solid waste.
so the items that would contaminate your food scraps.
Well, right, or you just say, if you think of the universe of acceptable solid waste, there's stuff that could rot, and there's a very funny, where's something that's like
I agree with
sticky.
you. It's good to be clear on the
Yes,
definition. so
absolutely.
People know.
Right, so when a lay person thinks of garbage, I think they also think that rubbish is a synonym, means the same thing. Maybe not in the solid waste and recycling world, but if a Fairfield resident read these, I mean, if you think about it, garbage is rubbish, rubbish is garbage. But in the bylaws, we're making a distinction. We're saying garbage is food waste. It's not, it's i.e. animal and vegetable solid waste resulting from the handling, preparation, cooking, serving, or non-consumption of food. So anything that's not that is rubbish, according to the bylaws. Anything else that you want to say is acceptable solid waste. So it seems to me that we should call garbage, as it is in the bylaws, food waste / scraps, because that's exactly what it is. And it would make it very clear.
John, what was John?
John, what do you think of that? As I went through this, I saw there were some redundancies.
Yeah,
In three definitions, it's better to have too much than not enough, I suppose.
I think being specific is an educational opportunity.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, to me, the main point for me is that the average person reading these bylaws will not make a distinction in their head between garbage and rubbish, although we do so in the bylaws. So I think, if we want to call rubbish rubbish, okay, but I think we should call what is food scraps, just simply call it what it is.
Yeah.
So we have two distinct sections of acceptable solid waste. There's the food stuff and the non-food stuff. And I think,
Is all, let's see, is all food waste garbage, but is all garbage food waste? That's, I think,
Not all garbage is food waste.
not all garbage is
Because
food.
garbage can contain items that can contaminate
Okay.
your food scraps collections.
but the bylaws, what the bylaws are intending to do here is to draw a bright line between food scraps and everything that's not. Because rubbish, if you go down to the rubbish definition, it's non-putrescible,
Yeah,
acceptable. By the way, I had to laugh at the definition of putrescible, which means liable to become decomposed, especially stinkingly rotten.
Garbage.
And I guess that's very graphic. But okay. But anyway,
by the way, trash is not in here.
there is no definition of trash.
So, with a question mark.
Anyway, I'm just, to really make the term more clear, more directly clear, it would be nice to call garbage what it really is, which is food scraps. In fact, alphabetically, it would stay right where it is in the list. But anyway, so that's just a suggestion.
Okay.
Maybe John could help me under hazardous waste. One of the things that's pointed out is something called pathological wastes. And I'm just wondering what that is as opposed to radioactive waste, corrosive waste, toxic waste, biological.
That probably could be animals,
Oh, yeah.
It could be drugs, it could be.
dead animals, things like that, cat litter people throw in.
Pathological waste,
Well, it could be body fluids, it could be,
but you got biological waste, you got radioactive waste, you got, cesspool or other human waste.
Well,
Human and animal remains, the human and animal remains is there too. I don't, again, I don't see what this adds to the definition.
Like syringes and stuff?
Maybe,
Yeah,
Well,
but
it's
that's
just,
biological waste, usually
that's usually, I think I saw that.
medical, if you want to say medical waste, I'll go with that, but just as a physician, this term is very vague and doesn't really mean anything to me.
Okay,
Teeth? Sorry.
biological and medical
Yeah, that's fine.
instead of,
If you add biological and medical wastes to the term that comes right before pathological waste, just take out pathological waste, I think that would be.
okay.
Well, will pathological apply to animals of some sorts?
Well, you have that listed already, John. If you look a few terms down, it says human and animal remains.
What about like dog poop?
Okay,
litter, I mean, down below is littered.
Human
Oh,
animal
no,
remains.
probably not.
Human. cesspool.
Litter's a danger to public health.
I think the litter down there, they're talking about people throwing garbage out the window and stuff.
Right.
Not
Because
cat litter. That's what I'm saying. I think that's why
Uh,
the pathological waste might be up there with, as far as dog poop or cat poop or something like that.
It says down here, human and animal remains, right? Wouldn't that be what you're talking about?
Well, that's dog waste, like excrete is not actual remain, right?
it's just that
That's a dead animal.
it's just that the term pathological doesn't say much to me about what we
Yeah.
mean. That's all.
Okay.
So what are you looking to do? Remove pathological?
I would take it out and do what Misty said and just say biological and medical waste.
Okay.
With moving right along with litter, I guess we're not concerned about plain old litter, someone, dropping a piece of paper on the sidewalk. This is about stuff that's a public nuisance, and I guess that doesn't have to be changed at all.
Well, scattered refuse,
Nips.
yeah.
I mean, I think it's fine,
glass.
because we're really not interested here in someone, drops a napkin on the sidewalk or something.
Well, they should be arrested, just.
Absolutely.
But that's not another part.
If not jailed, right, not shamed.
How about the motorized vehicle just sitting
Huh. That's a good one. And then, of course, I ran into white goods, which I had to remind myself means like a dishwasher, a refrigerator,
Yep.
washing machine, and so on. So, all right, and that comes up later, so that's okay. And then there's the PRV thing, neither a garbage and rubbish vehicle nor a recycling vehicle is a PRV motor vehicle, which is parallel to what we talked about with CRV.
Well, yeah, we'll make sure that's well defined. Both CRV and PRV are gonna be defined in here.
Now, I don't know, there's something unaesthetic about putrescible means liable to become decomposed, especially stinkingly rotten. If you want to leave that there, fine, because it's highly descriptive. But I guess that's the point, it just, I don't know.
I just had a thought that for anyone who actually bothers reading through this, that could be a good smile, could get some smiles, entertainment.
It's a good one, it says what it is. Then in the next one, recyclable materials, there's an acronym, SWEROC. I have no idea what that stands for.
What's that under?
Right after putrescible is the definition for recyclable materials. And in that first line, it talks about.
That's SwearOc, that should be deleted.
Ah, okay. Yes, I didn't.
That was the old original group.
Okay, because it does appear in other places, I think, so.
Yeah,
We eliminated in other spots, we missed that one.
And I want to say again, this is why I ask everyone to look at this and comment, because we had 3 eyes involved with this, Lisa, and it's always better to have
I've
more eyes.
seen games so many times, I totally understand. Okay, then, now we get down to the definition of rubbish. And it's non-putrescible, acceptable solid waste, and it lists all the stuff that's there. And I guess, to me, as long as we're gonna change the name of garbage to food waste and scraps, I'm fine with the definition of rubbish if that's what we want it to be.
One thing I'll say is that what's really going to be important for someone coming to the transfer station is to have the definition of what their fee is going to be.
Right.
And then we get into this later, someone trying to bring put a small refrigerator in their garbage that's not, you can't do that. And there's other things. So I think that some of this will, if the section on fees is properly defined, then I think that'll take care of some of this.
Okay, just in terms of moving right along, oh yes, here's another little thing. The definition for corrugated cardboard, which is on page 8, is the word craft, which is spelled like the cheese, but I think you meant to spell it with a C.
Well, no, there's a craft process. It shouldn't be capitalized. There's a craft process of making paper. I happen to know that. And that's, it goes way back to, I think it's originally German, but the K is correct.
That's a
But
real.
it should not be capitalized. What's that under?
It's under corrugated cardboard.
Oh, okay.
And if that's-
Materials.
Is there another word for that would make it more clear?
Well, actually, maybe, I gotta look that up. I think craft actually should be capitalized because it was someone's name. I believe.
Do we even
No, craft, it's not capital. I think that's correct. Craft paper.
do we even need to say craft? I'm fine if it adds value to the
Well,
definition, but other paper materials make Anyway, fine, okay, we don't have to do it. If it's got meaning, fine. All right, then,
Just let me know when you leave.
I'm on page 10.
And
Are
I
we
was,
still in definitions or?
no, we're just getting, page 10 is the beginning of.
Yeah, I'm adding the definitions.
Can I add one definition?
Yes, absolutely.
I think it's on page 3. It defines director. Let me just get to it, I'm sorry. And in section 9, here we use the term director's delegate. Can we define what a director's delegate is? Because especially in the enforcement section, they play a role in it, and I think it would be good for us. And this also might be where you disposable charge. I think that's supposed to be also be a separate.
I just noticed, you're right, disposable charge needs.
Okay, I just figured.
No, this is good.
The director's delegate is, I think we should define.
And where was the director's delegate mentioned? Or you're saying that should be a definition?
I think it should be a definition. That's what I'm recommending, because in section 9, I don't know what page, but when you get into issuing of warnings and violations,
Okay.
there's responsibilities that the director delegates to the director's delegate.
Who would that be, John? Would that be Lisa? Or,
Yeah, I mean, I'm basically, hold on, yeah, I'm basically the director for solid waste. And I guess, you know, it could be Lisa as the delegate for, you know, putting out, say, a warning or something to that effect.
so
So it could be a
That's
group.
why I think they keep it vague as to, depending on who you want to be, you know, I want to assign those items are. Or those enforcement too.
That's my point. Could be a group of employees, but it should be some official, because we're going to be issuing warnings and I think potentially violations.
So in other words, it could be something like a town employee who is assigned by the director for a certain task.
Well, that's just as vague.
Just assigned by the director.
That's just as vague, really. I mean, there's got to be a group of people that John's going to give this responsibility to. You're not going to give it to, you know, somebody that we hire temporarily to walk around. We might, actually, we might, but I think it should be defined. Anybody who can issue a potential.
I think that's why they say who I designate as being responsible for that. That's why they keep it that way. I mean, I see that in other language, not necessarily in these things, but in other languages, and you have the, you know, the director or his, her designee. As to being assigned to it. That's,
You could assign your cousin George. I don't mean to be, but shouldn't there be some sort of like category of employee?
Maybe
to address.
Appropriate town official. would be
Yeah,
something.
because if they didn't have a responsibility that's designated here to issue this type of a warning or violation, I wouldn't care, then it's different. But that's a big responsibility.
Yes, so I think an appropriate town official would just, that's vague, but
That might be, that's good, it's so vague, but that's a category.
it narrows it down.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Shall I continue then?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're now in a declaration of policy, 2.1.2, and down there, there's a bullet that says the public health, safety, and welfare of the town will be best served by requiring the delivery of acceptable solid waste to the town transfer station. I was just, since we're going to be talking about options to just sending all acceptable solid waste to the Wind Waste Innovations Bridgeport Station. This is, starts with
212, okay, thanks.
oh yeah, declaration, best served because we're looking to do better than what we're doing now. So, maybe this is just a fine point, but it seems like, saying that we're best served by sending everything, including, food waste and everything else that goes with accepting solid waste off to the, waste place isn't necessarily how we best serve the community.
So, Skip, what section what item are you discussing there?
It's page 10, page 10, two
Well, I
point,
don't wanna go by pages because it's.
the declaration of policy, and it's the fourth, wait a minute, the fourth bullet point.
2.1.
The public health, safety, and welfare of the town will be best served by requiring the delivery of ASW to the town transfer station, then shipped to Wind Waste Innovations Bridgeport for incineration and conversion to electric energy.
I mean, I guess I'm just making it's a quibble, really, but, since we're hoping to do different things with parts of acceptable solid waste, to say that it's best served by doing it, might not say what we want to say.
And we are, this is the municipal solid waste section as opposed to the recyclable section. I mean, obviously, everyone's best served to get recyclables and other things out of the MSW, but we're in the MSW section,
Right.
so what do you think, John?
I'm just rereading it to see what it is. The accumulation disposal solid waste must be controlled by the town for protection for the purpose health, safety, and welfare is consequently found that. So under 2.1.2, what bullet, the town?
The fourth bullet point there.
The public health, safety, and welfare of the town will be best served by requiring the delivery of acceptable solid waste to the town transfer station, then shipped to Wind Waste. Okay, what do you want to change it for?
I would take out the word best to make it simple, because
Will be served by, okay.
Okay, all right, let's take, but.
Because this-
If you want to delete best, that's fine by me, the word
Right.
best.
what we're currently doing, in my opinion, is not our best.
Exactly.
That's all. So that's my point.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
And what is the town collection facility vis-a-vis the transfer station? Is that a separate thing?
Well, to me, the transfer station is the town collection facility, except for the Denali, which is also owned by the town, and that land, and that's for Christmas trees and yard waste that goes there. So is that correct, John?
Well, Denali takes your vegetative items.
Right.
And, you could say, I mean, I understand we're in the solid waste portion, so the solid waste is actually going to Wind Waste right now versus going to an out-of-state landfill. So, right now, the solid waste goes to our transfer station and then goes to Wind Waste.
Right. I'm looking at section 2.2.2, which is under acceptable solid waste, which is 2.2. And there's a
2.2.2, yeah, all acceptable solid waste,
It says, right, shall be delivered to the town transfer station or the town collection facility, which makes me think that that's something
Else.
physically different. Different, is it the same?
It is, for now, it's the town, yes, it's the town transfer station, which is, I think what they do is they allow it in case something happened with the transfer station, you set up some separate satellite item to take it or accept it or something. That's how I would interpret that. Basically to a town collection facility that's designated.
Well, then we should say, or a designated town collection facility, rather than the town collection facility, makes it sound like it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Or a designated, okay, a designated.
Town collection.
And then in the next paragraph, we're talking about, it says, alternatively, residents may bring food waste to the transfer stations for pickup by curbside composting. I don't think we should state a specific.
Which one is that?
This is under 2.2.3.
Yeah, well, yes,
They may go out of business, they may not wanna do it anymore, so it should be something, by a licensed, whatever.
well, I actually added that, and the reason I did that is because this document is something that should be kept up to date. And
Right.
if they're not the ones in future years that don't do that, it should be changed. However, we could say, pick up by a licensed food waste delivery.
Food waste.
Well,
Maybe by a.
who delivers a food waste to a
collection
company.
Service.
Yeah,
Service?
Yeah,
Or food scraps, sorry, we should say food scrap collection service.
okay.
by a licensed food scrap collection service.
Food scrap.
Do they need a license?
Yeah.
Then it could be curbside or anybody, at that point,
Right.
because again, that things can change and then you won't have to go back and
No,
change.
you're
it.
right, yeah. And I'm hoping that, as we go through this now, because it hasn't been done since 2016, that as we go through this, that every time we make a little changes, we don't have to go through and have a public meeting and all that. So I'm hoping that's the case. I think the main thing here, that when we get to it, eventually, is the vote are the fees. That's the substance of, and the reason I wanted to get this done now is because if it's going to take effect on July 1st, people have to have some notice of this, and it's April, and, we're not that far away. But I think I'm glad this came up, because a lot of these things needed to be upgraded, and.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is great, so.
I don't have a lot more. In section 2.2.9, which is significant quantity exclusions, this is just a typo type of thing. There's a line, there's a bullet for white goods, 1 unit or more. And then right next to it is bulky waste inequality. Shouldn't that be a bullet
Oh,
right there? Because it's on the same line.
I got it on a different line.
I got it on a different line, yeah. You might not have, I have white goods.
That's how it transcribed over. Great, okay,
Yeah, yeah,
fine.
no, that's,
Very good. And let me just move along until I see some more red stuff.
I need clarification on something too.
sure, go ahead, no. Okay.
2.2.4.
Yeah, I think as we're going through, if anyone has something, if you're in the section, just go ahead, because we're,
We don't want to
this is a discussion here, this isn't a,
Yeah, a person shall commingle in a garbage and rubbish vehicle or in a refuse container also.
which is with this,
Acceptable solid waste generated within the town and acceptable solid waste generated outside. It just was very confusing.
where are you, let me see, what,
2.2.4.
2.2.4.
Yep.
Transported shall be delivered to the town transit.
Well, it's just a little confusing. I just couldn't. It's just,
Oh, it's redundant, you know what? I think it's redundant. I think the second paragraph is probably, acceptable solid transport. This could be acceptable solid waste transported in a garbage and rubbish vehicle, or a PRV or a CRV shall be delivered, I don't know, to the town transfer station or town. Again, we have this town collection facility here again, which should be designated.
Well, just a little confusing. with
Yeah,
generated
it
within
seems
the town
redundant.
with acceptable solid waste, ASW, generated outside the town.
Well, okay, I think what I'm reading here is that the ASW in a garbage or rubbish vehicle by a hauler should be developed to the town transfer station. And then that transported for a PRV or a CRV motor vehicle could be delivered either to the town transfer station or an appropriate, like we said before, appropriate or a designated collection facility. What that is, well, it's an alley if it's a Christmas tree, right? 2.2, so maybe make that a designated as well, so it's not.
Right.
Okay, there we go. So I'll make that change.
along. In procedures general, this is section 3.4.
Oh, good.
I'm down to 3.4.4. Recyclable materials listed in subsection 3.1 shall be collected at all licensed public events like Earth Day or whatever it might be.
Oh,
And I'm asking, is this enforceable? Like, how?
I'll defer to John on that. I think if it's a town, like an art show or something like that. But we're at 3.4.4 on page 17. I think that's making the organizer of the event responsible for cleaning up,
Right,
right?
Who's checking on it? I'm just asking, it's a
Yeah.
hypothetical,
Is that
but
part of a permit process, for somebody to get,
Yeah, John, is there a permit required for, like having having one of those art festivals, well, right out front here? Is that part of the permit to do the cleanup?
well, I know, for example, if there's a farmer's market.
Yeah, farmer's market,
On the
yeah,
green,
yeah.
that's patrolled by the health department. They go around and see that things are being kept right and so on and so forth. But I'm not sure they're looking to see if things, recyclables are being put in the right place,
Right.
that kind of thing.
Right.
With most events, they'll request so many garbage cans, and when they put them out, they put out a recycling can with the garbage cans, it's generally. So, like on the past event that they had, where Sacred Heart has, or not Sacred Heart, Fairfield U has an event, their clam jam down at Jennings Beach this year. They put out garbage cans as well as recycling cans so that they're separated.
Didn't do such a good job on saying what it's worth. We went for we love to do the low tide beach walks, and we happened to go that very day. Boy, that was something to see.
Oh, it must have been amazing.
Sorry.
So, but I'm just saying, most events, will have, when Parks Department puts out a garbage can, they put a recycling can out with it. It's like a salt and pepper together, you keep them together.
So, can I just get clarification on that 3.4.5 with the issuing permits for volunteer collection of recycled materials? Would that be like if we set up a glass collection at the Grange, you need some kind of permit to do that, or can't we just do
Well,
it?
that's recycling by definition, isn't it?
I mean, we don't need a permit for that, right? Or we don't need any.
Well, I don't know about the permitting part. I'm just saying if any licensed public event, which to me must mean that it's permitted. I would think a licensed public event, wouldn't that mean that you've gone through the town to say, I want to reserve the town green on Saturday for this is, such and such an
Yeah,
event?
I'm not talking about events. We're trying to enhance the glass retrieval, right?
So that's not an event, that's a
Yeah,
different,
we're just trying.
right. It's a
Well,
different thing.
Oh, but it doesn't say anything about events. Yeah. Anyway,
the director may issue permits for volunteer collection of recyclable materials. I mean, it's frankly, if in fact you're going to start collecting glass at the Grange, it's probably a good idea to talk to the director and make sure that, however that glass is going to be delivered down to the transfer station eventually is.
Well, it says,
Unless someone's gonna take it in their own truck, and then, of
Well,
course,
yeah, that's what-
then, if they have a permit sticker, then they're fine.
okay.
so it says in that section that the sponsor of this licensed public event shall provide recycling containers and arrange for them to be taken away. So it's on the sponsor of the event to see that happens. Anyway, okay.
Again, I gotta defer to John, I don't know that much about that, but.
There's in 3.5.2, there's a sentence that doesn't read well. This is about reporting requirements and again, it's 3.5.2, says non-residential property in the town and not delivered to Oak Ridge or processed through the town collection facility shall be reported. I don't know.
Basically, what that does is you have commercial haulers picking up stores or say a shopping mall or something like, center, where they have a container for recycling. We don't take that recycling down at our transfer station, but we as a town need to know how much is been removed via recycling. That's why I say it's non-residential, so meaning basically it's like a commercial enterprise in the town, and they're not taking it to Oak Ridge, they may take it to some other processing facility. That's their call. But they are obligated to tell us how much they've transported or removed.
Got it.
I'm recalling that Oak Ridge, when they collect recycle, they take it directly to their facility in Shelton rather than that, but they still have to report on the quantity.
Right, so, but that's, could be other companies too that, a different vendor may be, doing a commercial business and they take their stuff somewhere else. We don't take the commercial recycling to the town transfer station. They take it somewhere else, maybe cardboard or something out of Stop and Shop. So they're obligated to let us know how much they've disposed of.
Right, I get that, but the sentence doesn't really say that. It's non-residential property in the town, and it's just not.
Wait a minute.
Right, that's non-resident. It's not a resident. It's a commercial business or some sort. It's not a resident, so it's not an apartment or a house. It's being picked up from some type of commercial business or something else that's non-residents. We only accept the residential recycling down at our transfer station.
But the sentence doesn't read.
Realize the property, it should be.
Non-residential property in the town and not delivered to Oak Ridge is not English. I don't understand it.
Mine's all crossed off.
I don't know.
Mine has a line through it, like you deleted it now.
I don't know what you're looking at. I've had a lot of versions of this.
3.5.2. Oh, okay, sorry.
No, shall be delivered. Non-residential property
See,
and not delivered to Oak Ridge in the town and not delivered.
it looked like somebody X'd it.
Right, so it's not a resident recycling, so it's not coming to our transfer station. It's in the town of Fairfield, in our borders. And the people, they're not taking it to Oak Ridge, where we would get notified by Oak Ridge for some reason. They're taking it somewhere else. They could be taking it to a different processing facility, but they're obligated as a licensed hauler to tell us what they are removing.
I get it. I'm just saying that the sentence is not well written, so it's not good grammar. It doesn't make any sense. Non-residential property in the town and not delivered to Oak Ridge. I don't understand.
Well, that's maybe maybe commercial property in the town?
It's either a commercial, it could be a commercial or something else that's not a residential thing.
Well, the property is what you're having trouble with.
We can take this offline.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know which one.
All right, I'm now down to section 5 point, this is under collector responsibilities.
What number, sorry?
Section, chapter 5, collector responsibilities. This is paragraph 5.2.1, the second bullet. Says that recyclable materials collection of at least one recycling container. And this is, it says pickup service to be offered to occupants or owners shall include recyclable materials collection of at least one recycling container from each dwelling unit no less than once every 2 weeks. Are there any people getting picked up every other week? recycling?
Not that I know, on this town, I know some towns do every other week.
John, this is 5.1, yeah.
5.2.1,
There are other towns that do pick up every other week. I think Bridgeport used to pick up every other week. But I think it's a matter of what they feel the need is to pick, how often they need to pick it up. The whole.
I mean, I guess there's nothing wrong in leaving the language as it is. I was just interested to ask whether anyone actually does it every other week.
That's interesting. Well, if that's, yeah. Well, no less than once every.
No, it's fine. It's fine, leave it as
And
is.
by the way, I noticed that there's a couple of bullets there that should be taken out because there's nothing following it, which I mean.
Oh, yeah, I see that. Okay. So I was curious about what happens, this is under no operations, 5.5, in the same section. A collector is authorized to reject garbage and rubbish in a refuse container that also contains single stream recyclable materials listed in subsection 3.1. And then just jumping ahead to 5.5.2.3, says a collector is authorized to reject the contents of a recycling container that contains anything other than recyclable materials. So when you reject, what happens? You just leave it there? Or do you say something
it says it,
to the customer? I think there's something that follows that you have to notify them.
doesn't it say there on 5.5.2? A collector shall be responsible to issue a written notice within
Yeah.
72 days.
Right, 72 hours, right.
Hours of the person requesting pickup service.
Okay, so is that what you would,
I mean, if people have had it terribly wrong, yeah, just tell them, we can't take it like this, it's not recycling.
would you tell them in real time?
Oh, yeah, we'll have little pieces of paper that we've somebody put on their garbage can and you hang on their door. But,
Leave it there.
well, I mean, if it's garbage, just throw it in the garbage, I'm not gonna make my customer pick their garbage out and put it back together, next time it's gonna be great.
Would you like to have the OOP sticker?
What?
Would you like to be able to apply the OOP sticker?
The oops sticker, no,
I mean, it seems like it's.
Well,
You're the one.
I mean, it's just, you gotta, I'm not the guy out there, you know what I mean? That's, it's like the guys are out there doing this, then you give them one more thing to do. It's like.
Yeah.
So,
Make a lot of decisions.
Yeah, but it's a sticker, you just put it on.
yeah, I understand, but I mean, they like checking each one is not feasible here.
A lot of times you just, I know the whole thing becomes automated, but.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. What about the guys that nobody even gets out of the truck? You know what I mean? You're gonna make me check everybody, but the guy who's got an automated truck just goes like this,
So we should make everyone do it.
I think,
At some point, there's gonna have to be a much better checking system.
I mean, automated is where everything's going anyways. I mean, that's not where I wanna go, but that's where,
It's not working.
yeah, that's where all the big companies go. We're the only town that's not automated.
So
Pretty
the
much.
automated is which one?
Well, Bridgeport's not, but that's just the city service, but
I
any,
haven't seen automated, like what, how,
it's just an arm that goes out and it grabs it and goes like that. The guy doesn't even get out of the truck.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
All
Get
American,
out and they line it up and then they.
well, that's because All American in Fairfield, the route they bought, not everybody has their garbage at the curb. So they have one guy in there, but normally, like if you're in Trumbull or Easton, there's just one guy, and if it's not there, they just leave it there.
So it has to be a specific position.
Yeah, it's gotta be faced the right way, yeah. It's gotta be faced the right way. That's how Trumbull, Monroe, all these towns do it. Everybody's automated now, pretty much. Cause it's workman's comp and you're only,
But the power in you having a sticker you put on and having the residents know that you're gonna get a fine, it's huge, right?
yeah, I know, but I don't wanna be the garbage police either.
I was gonna say, garbage haulers, garbage haulers,
Reject.
Yeah,
Authorized doesn't mean it's done.
may I interrupt? I'd like to interrupt. We have, after we get through this, and frankly, one of the reasons I want to get through this, no matter what the results, so that I think the most important thing in our commission is in fact to talk about all these ways we need to improve the situation throughout the town. And it's not easy, it's gonna take a long time, but yeah, I don't like to go any, let's keep going through this, and then you're under, right, recycling, contamination, public education is under old business, food waste, so let's, when we get to that, we'll get to it. And we're not gonna solve it all tonight, for sure, but, anyway.
Well, I got very good news, I'm done.
Okay.
I'm not.
Oh, I know you're not, and remember, I'm gonna go back to number 4, because I know what you wanna talk about.
Yes. Well, listen, first of all, I'm sorry, did you get, you said?
I'm saying number 4.
I want to apologize, I didn't make the meeting last week, and I'm a little bit of a, last month. I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage, because I think you had, as a group, had discussed this.
And it's one of the reasons that I wanted to hold off is because the Zoom didn't work, I had to set it up right, and I wanted to have a full board here,
So
so.
I don't want to beat it to death, this particular subject, but I just wanted to make, maybe just a few comments, and when we talk about raising these fees. And the fees are part of just one part of this bucket that I have, because you got fees, you got violations, exactly what you were talking about. We write these ordinances and these regulations that really are often not enforceable, or we write them without a method to enforce them. But looking at the fees, I really have to say, to raise the fees, I think, and these numbers are not mine, I think they came up at other meetings, but up to like 24%, 24% in this economy. So not only are we gonna raise the fees 24%, we're also gonna be raising our taxes along with it. This is also falls into a part where, I like to say, we talk about, we wanna come up with plans to change behavior. Everything that we have come up with so far and everything that we've discussed is a disincentive. It's a disincentive plan. Nothing has been placed here that talks about incentive. The more disincentives we place on people, the more it's going to force people to do the wrong things, to hide their garbage, to put it in plastic bags that nobody sees it. They're not going to open up dark plastic bags, black plastic bags to look at what's inside. And this is what people are going to do. And the more we push these high fees, I think that we're heading in that direction. Also, I know the argument is that they haven't been raised in a long time.
About 10 years.
Yes, but also during that 10-year period, a lot of the tipping fees and other fees had gone down, and municipalities were making money. Yeah, I believe me, they went. I don't know. That's right. It was in business. They fluctuate from time to time. Every year, some years they go up, some years they go down. But during that time period, so there was a lot of movement up and down. Also, municipalities and other agencies were making money on recyclables. That's one reason they didn't go up.
That's why we're in this predicament.
Correct. Yeah. So we're no longer making money. So
That's exactly why.
Can I ask a question? So they were making money off of recyclables, so there was no contamination back then? Like, what happened?
there was, but China took it.
China was.
China took it.
the rivers.
Bundles of cardboard with contamination in it went to China, and they put it on a boat and they paid for it, and we made money, right? I mean, I'm not making this
How
up.
much a ton the town?
This is not made.
We're not paid
I work for a grocery store fairly large, and a lot of garbage management. I hate to say, but that was one of my jobs, and I learned a lot. And what I say, when we use that argument that there's reasons it didn't change during that time period, it's too easy to say, well, they haven't changed in 15 years, so people must have gotten a break. That's not really the case. When they were making money, they didn't lower the fees during that time period. So I'm just throwing out there for the argument. Also, the other argument of people like to use, and well, we're using this service, we should pay for it. We don't do that with the police department. We don't do it with the fire department. We don't do it with other agencies, right? The Board of Ed. Seniors pay almost as much money. They get a little break, but they pay almost as much money with families that have kids in the schools. And why won't they do it with police departments? And because people will not report crimes. To my argument that people are going to start finding different ways to get rid of their garbage if we do everything in a disincentive fashion. So I take all these things and put it into a bucket. I know I'm only talking about the fees sort of right now, but then we get into the violation. Now we have this section that we've always had about issuing warnings of violations. Why haven't we used it?
Yeah, I don't know.
because it's not written properly.
No, okay, good point.
It's not,
Yeah.
and we're not changing that. So this is another thing. In other words, we wrote this regulation, rule, law, because like I have a question, like when we get into section 9, it talks about violations, right? A $90 fine. Who issues that? John?
I do, and I have.
Is it a civil process? Or do you issue a criminal violation? I'll say, I use the word criminal, but it's a violation of town ordinance, or you do it through a civil process?
I basically do it via the power of this, or of this regulation.
Okay, that really doesn't, because I think in the state of Connecticut, I've been out of the business for a while, to issue a violation, you have to be a sworn officer. You have to be able to issue a town ordinance. Now, if it's a civil process, that's different. That I think you could do, but that's why I'm asking the question, because I don't know where it sits.
Well, it says
I
it right.
do it based, all right, so that you understand, I do it based on the authority of this, of the position of being director in charge of this, which is empowered by the rules and regulations set forth by you guys and approved by the RTM and the Board of Selectmen,
Okay, and it's a civil process then.
if that's how you determine it.
Well, he's not arresting anybody, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
If I have issues, then yes, it's just, I guess you'd say it would be civil. Because I do not have arrest powers.
And the recourse is to a hearing before the board, right?
If they want to,
Yeah.
Okay, all
challenge it.
right, good. That answers a lot of my question in that
Yeah,
area.
that's right at the end.
But it is still a very difficult section to enforce. But right now, again, I'm gonna go back to the fees, because I'm jumping around a little bit. I just really kind of want to make it clear that, to me, it's a larger bucket. It's not just one point. And I think we need, as a group, to start to maybe come up with methods that fall into kind of an incentive program. Changing behavior really tends to work better with incentive rather than disincentive. And,
There are people that are
Agreed.
incentivized, and then there's those that could care less and not motivated to do
right,
anything because they don't have to, because they have the money to pay for it,
Yeah.
and they just want it off
I
the
know.
table, and those are the biggest offenders, I find, right? So that's the dilemma. So I agree with you. I think, it's written down here in the regs clearly that there's a way for us to have recourse. And maybe it's just a matter of upping that pressure, because I know Lisa's been, out there doing random checks and halting
Yeah.
dumps, and that's gonna have to be done.
Well, she's been, and and the only thing the thought I'm having now is that what you mentioned about having, and I think what we should talk about doing as the year goes on are things like Ellie mentioned about having someone comes down to the transfer station and brings glass recycle along with their trash, they get a discount on that trash. Now that becomes, okay, that becomes an administrative issue. You would have to have that well defined. And the last thing Lisa and her people then is to argue about how much but that's the kind of thing that we can talk about later. And I don't know how to fit it in with all this, but
well, all right, so back to my point, I'll just say, and this is all only one person, but I said, I would, first of all, this is a lot of work and you guys have done a great job. And I do actually respect that I feel John is going to do the right thing and that's what he wants to do. I want to be clear about that, and I know he knows the business, I could tell. But I would not vote for this in favor, and again, I'm only one vote, because of these fines. 24% to raise someone's fees, I'm sorry, fees, you're right, fees. 24% is just too high.
well, okay, the one perspective that, as I've gotten into this and done all the math, the one perspective is this. And if my math is correct, and I'm rounding up numbers here, the budget next year, the expense budget for the department is roughly $5.2 million. The expected revenues from the fees, if these fees pass, will be about $3.8 million, which means, what is that? It's 2.6 million, 1.6 million left, 1.8 million left. That the taxpayers will pay for. If we don't increase these fees that haven't been up in 10 years, well then, the revenues will be roughly $3.3 million, which means it's another $500,000 that'll go to the tax base. And if we were starting from scratch, we could have the discussion, well, why do we have fees at all? Let's just have the taxpayers pay for everything, like the police department, the fire department. But we've had fees forever. There is some, to me, that makes some sense to having a user fee for people who are actually using it. And we already have that. So the question is, do we want to keep the fees the way they've been, or do we want to at least help overcome part of the increased expenses that we have here? So I think that's the question.
We have to jump 24%. I mean, and again, going back to times where, and there were times in between those 15 years where it fluctuated. Tipping fees went up, they went down, they went up, they went down. Correct me if I'm wrong, you're in the business. Recycling went up, recycling went down, or value went down.
When did the recycling, that's 10 years since we've been making money in recycling.
I mean, it was a good 5 years where you guys were getting paid $20 a ton for recycling.
So it's not 10 years, it's.
It's been a while, so
It's been a while.
there was at least a good 5 years where, from when we went to the old way we recycled, where you just did paper and one in the front, and we did the commingles in the back. We had different trucks, and then they went single stream, and then when they went single stream, that's when they took anything, and that's when we were told, Mike was yelling at us if we threw plastic toys in the garbage. Like, he was going around trying to find me for throwing, because they wanted to get it recycled because the town was getting paid $20 a ton for recycling.
Well, they got recycling enough.
Well, us as a private hauler, we weren't even saying anything, like, we should have got paid for that, but the town took it, the town got paid $20 a ton, and we just did the recycling. Other private recycle guys, they were getting paid for their recycling at that point in time. Now, they're getting charged for it, and like, now it's like, oh, the whole rolls were, now you wanna make us pay, but when you were getting paid for it, everybody was happy.
And all at once, they want to make us pay.
Yeah, that's
All at once,
right.
you want to go 24%. I mean, I'm not against the small, and again, I'm only one person. And I really, you guys have discussed this already too. Because if everybody else made up their mind, then there's no reason for me to.
Well, we could have voted last meeting, and I wanted to hear, I wanted to hear what you had to say, and you're saying a lot of good things.
Yeah, and, again, go ahead, John.
That was as Andrew actually too. I mean, we could look at a phased approach for the increases too, possibly.
Yep.
I'm gonna phase $1.
I know there's some stuff thrown around, but it is. I mean, that's a large burden, and my fear is that we're kicking, like, we don't want the taxes to increase, but you're going to kick these to the haulers, and then they're going to have to raise their prices. So one way or another, we're paying no matter what. I mean, if the fees go up, we're paying.
The hauler is gonna increase your customers, I don't know settings, but
Yeah,
you are.
And also, my hauling fees, the services, my service, already went up during that time period.
Yeah.
The gas went up. And I'm paying, and it didn't go down, it didn't go down when the gas went down.
everything right now, everything's going, my insurance is up.
I agree. That's why I don't want to give you any more, because you're gonna push it on me.
Yeah, I'm not here trying to I just gotta keep everything at the same level, you know what I mean? Just to.
Okay, well, I have said my piece about that. Again, I don't want to go on and on and on.
Thank you.
Appreciate
And
that.
John, I gotta ask you now, I know when I first started looking at this, we knew there was gonna be a 22% increase from Wheelabrator or Wind, wherever they are. And I did some math, okay, well, let's raise these by 22. The numbers here, correct me if I'm wrong, John, you went through this with the Board of Finance about potential numbers. I know one thing that I was thinking is that the auto charge should go from 6 to 8, just because it's been so long. But you ended up at 6 to 7, so I guess I defer, how did these numbers come about and what was the consequences of doing something different? Well, this was part of the budget
Yeah.
negotiations, I think.
But I thought that was part of it, raising the fee to $8.
No, it,
For the drop.
no, so 7 was the amount, it went from 6 to 7 after the meeting with the Board of Finance, and I have no idea what went on
Board
in
of
that
Finance
meeting.
came up with these numbers. Can I ask a question, because you talked about incentivizing and behavior change? Why are we not talking about something like pay as you throw?
Oh, that's such a big discussion.
Yeah.
Part of
Well, I
it.
think because we have 9 different
Because
haulers.
like if someone shows up with like this much garbage versus this much garbage, it's the
Right.
same.
I mean, if someone calls up at the transfer station,
Yeah.
well, John, I don't know.
And so if you remove your food waste and you remove your glass, your garbage is gonna go from this much to this much, and then pay less.
Well, that's what, we had that discussion last week when we talked about trying to get the haulers in here to look at different opportunities for incentivizing.
I mean, we can't, right, I mean, I think the easiest thing right now is this discussion about the
Right.
$7. This is a harder conversation, but we need ideas from you guys. Like what would, I'm sure.
Well, I
you
mean,
have
like
ideas.
seniors and stuff, I charge
Right.
less when I know have one bag of garbage, you know what I mean, like, but
So-
most generally, people are kind of in the same
So,
bracket.
I have to say, my hauler was so awesome because I started composting and I went to a bag this big and he pulled it out and he's like, why are you paying for service? Just go to the transfer station. And I was like, you're right, I should. And my hauler put that.
Yeah, no, I tell people all the time, you know what I mean, like I don't say you can't go there, you can go there, that's, if you'd like to go there, if you have, but you gotta understand, like, when just that one bag, I still have to have the truck there too, you know, with the guy there, so it's, if, you know, it works out better if like you're on the road and your truck's there anyways, but like the people that have less, I do charge less, you know, so.
But anyway, so that's a different conversation, but back to your point about the $7. Maybe the guy that has this much garbage should pay less, or maybe the person with this much garbage should go every 6 weeks or every 2 months.
Well, frankly, that is, I mean, I just, as you know, I just started food waste, thanks to you and Ron. I cannot believe the difference it makes. Now, to me, it makes, I mean, I'm in a condo, I'm paying my common fees for a Big Little to come pick up, but literally 65% of the weight is food.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm not talking about recycling it, but of the stuff that I put in the trash, and I take it out once a week now to the
And it
bin.
doesn't smell, so it can sit in
Right,
your
and
garage for
that's
a couple
the
of weeks.
key. You fish one night, and I gotta take it out the next
Yeah,
day, yeah.
so honestly, maybe either the $7, but incentivize people to go less often. Or charge them less if they have smaller, I don't know, but. you know-
They're the $7, $6, you can take up to 125 pounds. I can tell you right now, if I was taking I would, matter of fact, I save up my bottles and my food waste until I've got enough, and once a week or 10 days, I would do the same thing. So I think there is already, and if people think about it, if they can bring up to 125 pounds and they're only bringing 10 pounds once a week, it doesn't make any sense, but.
Yeah, so
Anyway.
anyway, I'm just trying to think of the incentives that you were talking about.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I brought it up because I know we're sticking on this, trying to stick on this. It's more of a global, sometimes we tend to look and focus at these small little pieces, and we think it fixes it when if we look at more global, but that takes a lot of different work and so forth. If you want, I'll just finish with number 9.
Yes.
Again, I just say that this here, and I know it's been there, and I'm gonna say this, and this is not, I'm just section 9. I'm gonna say this only because I know this has been in, like I said before, it's been in this regulation forever, is that I know of, since I've been here. It's rarely used. There's no way, I don't care how good John and Lisa are, and I'm sure they're great. There is no way 2 people could manage this and really make it substantial. and why we keep referring back to this as a way to make a difference. If we're going to use this section to make a difference, we've got to think about hiring more people, or there's so much more, because there is no way that two people, and this is obviously where I got the director's delegate thing part from, because I just don't see how that could not have been defined. And that's really all I have to say about this section too. And that really doesn't affect, I'm not saying change it,
Right.
because we're not going to, this could stay there, we can work on it later. It just becomes a part of the larger bucket of not forcing the haulers to raise fees for people, when that high at this point. Okay, thank you.
John, what, are you still there?
I'm still here.
We had talked about, if these fees were raised, I think we talked about them, no expectation of them going up now every year or staying there for a while. Did you guys, when you were with the Board of Finance in your budget meetings, was that ever a discussion about keeping them for a period of time?
I do not see this being redone, the fees going up for at least another 2 years, because we just, with everything that takes going through it, it gives us 2 years to look at what our, how everything pans out. We still have to have a contract that's expiring for the operation of the transfer station that ends July or June 30th. So I still have to get the RFP out for starting July 1st, and what those rates will be are still questionable. I use basic inflationary costs, but we're not sure exactly where that's going to pan out. So that's why I figure it'd go for at least 2 years before we actually try and readjust the fees based on a year's worth of a full year or two worth of expenses and revenue. This, when you're looking at the rates going up, I don't have all my papers in front of me, but as I recall, the average household is only about a little over a ton per household per year. You're increasing the rates about $22 a ton. And when you look at that and spread that over a 12-month payment, you're talking $2 to $3 a month increase to the normal household. So, these numbers don't even get, I have some people on the finance board that would like to see it completely revenue matching expenses to be self-sufficient operation. Similar to how you have like the WPCA, where that's a self-sufficient operation where your revenues meet your expenses. This doesn't even get us there, but it does at least stop the bleeding of the expenses increasing much greater than your revenue. You still have a big gap, but it's at least reduces it. This is not something, this is basically because Wind Waste is able to increase their prices 22% to the local towns. We went through an RFP to try and get the best price. By doing that process, we reduced what Wind Waste's initial price cost was going to be.
And just to get the information correct here, that of the four major, the residential hauler, MSW, is the one that would go from 87 to 110. That's a 26% increase.
Yeah.
Hauler MSW would go from 94 to 120. That's a 27% increase. And by the way, the tonnages, those are the residential haulers by far are the tonnages. And then the individual trucks go from 120 to 140, that's 17%. Bulky waste, 180 to 220. I'm not able to project this, that's why I'm reading it out, 22%. I guess we can either take a vote on this. I wonder if we could, if it's your understanding that these increases would be stable for 2 years, is that, I'm wondering if that's something we can vote on.
I also wonder whether if we submit a different fee increase recommendation to the Board of Finance, because I'm assuming that's what the flow would be.
Well, John, yeah, I think what happens here is if this is voted, the next step is we have to do this public hearing, and then the next step to that is it just the RTM that has votes on it? Does it go back to the Board of Selectmen? And, because I know
I'm not sure of it. I suspect the Board of Selectmen, then the RTM.
okay,
It might be, I don't, if it's affecting the revenue, the finance, it may have to go through finance also, because it's a revenue item that affects the budget.
I mean, if we're gonna submit, or if we're going to recommend something that's at variance with what the Board of Finance is looking for with the increases that you've said, I would think that they would have something to say about what we recommended, because we're not the force of law, they are.
right. I mean, and these numbers are the ones that they,
So we can recommend whatever we want to recommend, and they can say, well, that's very nice, Solid Waste and Recycling Commission, but we're still gonna do these
they can
increases.
do. Exactly.
I think this is moot, us, recommendation. I think they've already made up their mind and they just want us to,
No.
Well,
and let them do that. I'm okay with that. I mean, that's what they're elected for.
well, and frankly, getting into this, then the reason that first of all, I found it hard to believe that these had not increased at all in 10 years. What in our lives hasn't increased in 10 years? What utility, what anything? And the amount of what this will actually mean, and I should have asked as a hauler, I don't know if you have any idea what this might mean to an average homeowner. If your tip fee goes up 26%, I mean.
Yeah, it's not,
John already answered that.
Yeah,
I wrote it down in my notes.
Yeah.
Next
I
year.
haven't done the math yet, but I gotta sit down and figure it out.
Because tip fees that's not all your
No, it's
expenses.
not, I'm not going up 25% of my whole service.
Exactly.
It's just on what my
Yeah.
tip fees are.
We have 9 independent haulers, right?
Yes.
So there'll be 9 individual decisions. about
Making
what happens
decisions,
with the
right,
rates.
exactly. And for people coming to the transfer station, I mean, okay, paying an extra $1, I don't know what does that mean to? And by the way, the fixed income residents don't go up at all, that we're not touching, but.
It's such a marginal thing also compared to the whole shooting match.
If it was really marginal, they wouldn't be recommending it. $300,000 makes a big difference in the budget.
Is it $300,000?
That's what you said, right?
Well, not well.
Well, they wouldn't be raising it if it was marginal.
Well, the increased revenue for.
There are 50,000 visits, right?
Okay, the increased revenue is $50,000 for people individuals going to the transfer station. The haulers and the individual trucks, that is a $713,000 increase over what the rates are now. So the total is like the totals are like 763 for an increase only in the Wheelabrator of like 472. And I think one of the reasons they put these in, because we know, I mean, everyone knows that first of all, the expenses have gone up over the years anyway, but we don't know what the operating budget is going to be for operating the transfer station until we get the RFP out and done. So I think what they're trying to do here is get.
Building in a buffer.
They're building in a buffer, and again, I think if we decide that our recommendation is not to increase at least for 2 years, I mean, and at this point in time, I'm in favor of it, but I'm one vote. So, I mean, we can vote on this, and if it passes, these are the numbers. If not, we can work on it. Although we can run this again next month. The only thing is, now we're in May, and we have to have a public hearing.
Are you trying to decide whether to have a vote or not today? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Oh,
Well, that's the whole idea.
We should have a vote,
Oh, yeah.
because,
What are we voting on?
We are, I guess I'd have to make the motion. We are voting to approve the,
Yes.
okay, let me get this right. We're voting to improve the revised regulations with the changes that we discussed here, which will work and get, including the fees that are in fact in this document in chapter 4.
So I don't mean, but we really don't have a document we're voting on right now. We just, I know there's a lot of discussion tonight and a lot of changes. I think if we're gonna vote on a document, this type of thing, I wanna see it, right? I mean, I don't know. You know.
Well, and again, I mean, if we want to do this,
I thought we're voting on section 4.
No, he wants to go to vote on the entire,
bylaws.
yeah.
I mean, I suppose, matter of fact, maybe, okay. Perhaps we should vote strictly on the schedule of fees in chapter 4. And then at the next meeting, you'll have the new draft of the
Yeah.
entire document and then vote on that.
That's good.
And, okay, the only, okay.
That's fine to do, but I mean, if you all agree to the changes that went along, you just say, make the amendment to as amended with those amended changes. I mean, unless that, you're voting on the regulations and which include the change in fees, with the amended, changes that was, brought up and mentioned.
And
I'm sorry, but I don't even, I couldn't keep track of every change we made. Let's be, come on.
Well, but I don't think there was anything of
Is there anything you
substance.
disagree with?
No, I agreed with almost everything that was brought up, but I mean, I don't know, I mean,
Oh, you want-
saying them and actually reading them are two different things. You know, if we're gonna vote on this,
I only saw that there was really a few changes. I mean,
I think we have to,
you had to bold disposal charge, you had to add a director designee as appropriate town official in the definitions, you wanted to change pathological waste in the hazardous waste section to medical waste. You're removing the word square rock under recyclable materials. And in section 2.2, instead of having the town collection facility, you're deleting the and putting in a designated town collection facility. You remove the word curbside composting, which is the company to a licensed food scrap collection service. And again, you put 2.24, you put designated town collection facility. Those were the only changes that residential non-residential, those are the only changes that I saw that were actually brought up and mentioned to make changes, and I would say that you do, you know, with the amended changes, and remove a couple of bullets that had nothing on them in section 5.2.
others. I know it's everything that
So it's,
discussed.
those were the only amended changes that I saw that was mentioned in this whole thing.
Okay, well, okay, we could in fact, because of the importance of this and because of all of this that some of you don't even have to look at, we could in fact decide to have a special meeting a week or a couple weeks from now, and in the meantime, get all this changed and then come in and simply vote on it. I'm not sure if we could simply vote by email. I'd have to check on that rather than have physically get together, but
I'll go back to what you said, vote on the fee. I mean, if you really want to get the fee thing done, seems to me like John wants to get the fee.
well, and I tell
So
you,
he could,
I want to get the whole thing done.
I do too, but
I do too, but I would like to, let's get, I mean, we can get the fee part done, because that way, if it's going to, if we have to have this special meeting, I mean, we have to have this public meeting and it has to be voted on, and the July 1st is the date that this will be effective, so, and, you know, look, if we vote on this and it turns out it isn't, something's wrong with it, I'll let everybody know, but.
Okay, so I think we're ready.
So, okay,
I still just want to say one more time, I really don't see how we could vote on a document that is not finished.
Oh, no, we're
I
talking
just want to make that clear on the record that I don't see how we could do that.
okay.
I thought we're just voting on the fees.
Well, and I'm gonna have to I or anyone can make a motion to approve because that initially, with what we were gonna do anyway, is vote whether to recommend these fees or not. And then the issue of the regs came up, and so we got to work on that. The fees, and the way the fees were put into the previous regs, a lot of the stuff wasn't there. This gets it right into the document. But, so I guess I'll entertain a motion to vote on the increased fees that are itemized here in chapter 4 of the draft solid waste and recycling regulations.
And you need someone to second it.
Yes,
I would second it.
okay.
I have to just make one more objection to that. Robert's Rules of Order, I really don't think you can make a motion as the chairman.
Well, I'm gonna double check on that. I did, I asked the town attorney about that. Because I went to that meeting where they talked about,
I could be wrong, but I feel, I'm pretty
Yeah,
confident.
We do Robert's rules, and the PTA president, who's like the chairperson, makes the motion.
okay,
So I do what you do.
okay. I mean, I
don't think that's
Maybe I
Robert's.
have to go look up the Robert's rules too.
Bill's rules of orders.
That's okay, you may do it, I'm just making a point, we might find out afterwards that that's the case,
Well, so I made the motion on the fees. Misty seconded it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry.
It's
I
okay.
just can't.
This is a democracy.
I want to approve it, but actually, I have let me just say it. I have the opposite viewpoint of you. I think that it needs to be raised higher. I don't think $1 is gonna change anything.
Are you objecting to just to that part of it?
Well, I think so can I
So
just, we're not fixing the problem.
Andrew,
Yeah, I just got something to add, I'm sorry. So I was just texting my brother who's the finance director. So he, just for clarification, he said that per the charter, we need to vote on the whole schedule, not just the schedule, we need to vote on the whole
Okay.
amendment to the regulations as a whole, not just the fee schedule. And he said that the vote would go for an effective date of 7/1/24 and then needs to go to the public hearing, which we know, and then is effective. He also said that he's available to call in if we have questions for him on anything.
Okay, well, thank you, Andrew. I really appreciate it, because so I would like to ask at this point, can we have a special meeting, and what date would work for everybody? I mean, next week or, next week school's off, I know, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm in here.
Yeah, I was gonna change this meeting to next week, and I happened to look at the town calendar, and I said, I'll bet you're not gonna be here. Well, I don't have a kid in school anymore, so.
Thanks for reminding me.
So, well,
I can call
actually,
in though. I can call in.
The week after, I'm gone from Wednesday to Sunday.
well, okay, today, well, okay, wait a minute, today's,
If the Zoom is working.
Yeah.
no, and I'm wondering now, what are the rules about special meetings? We could have it later in the week, but I think you have to have enough notice, don't you? You have to post it.
Right,
Yeah, you have to post it like a week.
like a week ahead.
So the week of the 22nd, maybe? Now, and here again, we could go to, the problem I have going to next month is, well, I'm gonna be leaving 2 weeks after that meeting, and I think that's beyond able to have a special, a public hearing. But I think we should have a special meeting in the next couple of weeks, and maybe everyone, I don't know if you have a calendars with you, but does anyone have an idea of what date would work?
I think if we have Zoom option, I think we can figure it
Well,
out.
that's the other thing, I wonder if we, yeah, okay. Well, that's right, we have the Zoom, then,
Yeah,
Monday, the 22nd is 2 weeks from now.
I would say keep it on
Right, Monday the
Don't worry about
22nd.
Spring break, because we can.
and what time, is 7 good, or is it another time good?
Is this in Zooming or are we doing it in person?
We're gonna do it in Zoom. Geez, I guess I could probably, yeah,
We could do it this way. Anyone who comes in, and then there's.
So you know what, I could probably do it on Zoom with if I set it up with the town, I could probably do it with Zoom on this. Let's say we're gonna have it here, and then we'll do it on Zoom, and whoever can come. Does that work for everyone, Monday, the 22nd?
Same time?
Is 7 good, or is?
Because,
Yep.
You know what, I was wrong about the chair making a motion, I'm looking it up right now. Okay.
okay,
Yeah,
because
thank you.
I was getting nervous.
No, I did, I specifically asked the lawyer at that meeting I went
I
to.
don't know why I had it stuck in my mind that you could.
Monday, the 22nd is Passover. It doesn't affect me, but I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know if it makes a difference for our meetings or not.
Anyone here?
That's a Seder night?
I don't, I have it in my calendar as Passover. I'm not sure.
Hi, it's David Becker. I'm on now, the interim CFO. Yeah, we actually would prefer the administration maybe be at this meeting as well, on our end, so not doing it on the 22nd would be helpful.
Okay, so, yeah, if does the town shut down that day, or? So
So do you want 23rd?
It's open.
how about the 23rd, is that
Is 23rd okay?
Zoom maybe, yeah.
23rd? So it's Tuesday, the 23rd?
Well, for those who can't, there are two Seder nights. So there's Monday and then there's Tuesday.
Okay, 24th?
It's a Wednesday, which is fine with me.
24th,
I know I can't do that one, but don't.
That's RTM budget. What
Oh.
about the 23rd, 25th, Thursday?
while I'm here, let's just look at the,
Who's saying they need to come here now? To our meeting?
David Becker.
David Becker said somebody from the administration needs to be here, and
Okay.
Passover is like an hour.
May I ask why someone from the administration needs to be here?
Well, any issues with this is gonna cause a significant issue to our budget, so I'd like one of us to be there unless you wanna discuss it in advance.
All right,
If you're just doing regulatory adjustments and you think it's gonna pass that night, fine, but as we get further, if we go too much further out, we're gonna start having some issues because we need to implement this by July 1. After this meeting, you're definitely gonna have to have a hearing as well.
It's complicated.
yeah, I was trying to get the town calendar up here, I don't have the website set up, but, so. April 24th doesn't work?
I'm just gonna be on a plane.
Oh.
So what about the week before Passover?
Well, well, now you say you're gone next
That's
week.
okay, I can call in.
Okay, so next week, if we wanted to do it next week, like this
15th?
15th?
Is it 15th and Monday?
It is?
Yep. it's
Oh,
good.
all right, so and you can call on it, okay, good. So we'll do it, and I think that gives us enough time to post this and everything else, so it's Monday, so next Monday, the 15th.
Works for me.
Now, what I'm gonna do is go back and make these changes, I'm gonna send it out, and anything that you still find, let me know, and I'll, redo all this. And the fees are gonna be what they are, so, I mean, unless,
That's fine, we don't want to be changing it at
Yeah.
this point.
and again, I think that whatever it says we can do as we move along here, to have people increase food and glass and all that, we need to do that, but I don't think we can incorporate that right at this point, because one of the things we need to talk about is how it really would be managed down at, we have to have a lot more discussion about how it could be managed for someone coming down
Yeah.
and getting a discount for doing
So
the whole thing.
just for the minutes, I just want to say that these rates are not going to make any changes to the problem. It's not gonna fix the problem. It's not even sticking a Band-Aid on the problem. We have a waste crisis and we need real solutions for the minutes.
I agree, for the
I
record.
absolutely agree. I absolutely agree with that. That's why I'm serving here. It's gonna take time and it's gonna take a lot of work. And unfortunately, there's gonna be a percentage of
Yeah.
people that will never pay attention to anything, but we can't let that get in our way. Well, I'll tell you, and again, personally, I am blown away by what separating food waste has made difference to me. And so I think at this point, oh my God, it's 8:45. With the basketball game, okay, we're gonna, and you know, what we had on the agenda, we're still gonna keep going with, but I think at this point, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Okay, approved.
Second.
I want to stick around for a while.
Don't say